How's it going, everybody? On this glorious Wednesday of December 27th. Now, the story is a little old, but it's making its rounds. When I say it's a little old, it was published 22 years, not 22 years, but 22 hours ago. But according to Ground.News, Michigan Supreme Court rejects bid to take Trump off the primary ballot. Michigan Supreme Court has decided not to hear an appeal to keep former President Donald Trump off the state's primary election ballot. Even Michigan doesn't want to be part of the let's remove our political opponents off of the ballot train. So there are multiple lawsuits across different states aimed to prevent Trump from appearing on their ballots, citing insurrection clause. Michigan court dismissed the case based on procedural grounds without addressing whether the events of January 6th constitute an insurrection or if Trump was involved. Now I'm going to WION News. This was published in Lansing, Michigan, updated December 28th, 2023, 12:27 a.m. IST. I'm not sure what that is, but Michigan court rejects bid to ban Trump from 2024 ballot. Michigan Supreme Court on Wednesday rejected attempt to remove Donald Trump from the crucial swing state ballot or primary ballot next year over his role in the 2021 storming of the U.S. Capitol. It was the latest in a series of bids to block Trump from appearing on ballots in multiple states under the 14th Amendment, which says officials who take an oath to support the U.S. Constitution are banned from future office if they engage in insurrection. But Michigan High Court said in a brief ruling it was not persuaded that the question presented should be reviewed by this court ahead of the state's February 27th presidential primary. Pretty much they say we don't want to get involved because this is a political question and we don't want to be the second state to kick off a storm. At least that's my personal opinion. The decision contrasts with the recent ruling in Colorado Supreme Court, which kicked Trump off the state's primary ballot over his role in the Capitol riot, which he is accused of inciting. So Trump was speaking. The riot was already happening. So how was he inciting a riot? Trump hailed the Michigan ruling, slammed a desperate Democrat attempt to stack the deck against him as he seeks another term in the White House. This pathetic gambit to rig the election has failed across the country, including in states that have historically leaned heavily towards the Democrats. He posted on Truth Social, his social media platform. Colorado highest court issue a stay or a freeze of his bombshell ruling until January 4th, pending an expected appeal by Trump's lawyer to the U.S. Supreme Court. Oh, and he's going to do it. Now the question is the Supreme Court going to take the case? Are they going to not take the case? Are they going to rule in a way to where it doesn't really answer the question? Because they may say states don't have the authority to take people off of a federal ballot, but not answer the key components of the lawsuit. That is something that they're kind of known to do. Granting that Colorado case for review would thrust the country's top court into the center of the White House race, and any ruling will make it whether Trump engaged in the insurrection and his eligibility could be binding on the lower courts nationwide. But yeah, this is a risk that Trump is playing, to be honest. Let's say it goes up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court ruled that he doesn't have to be charged, as a lot of Democrat lawmakers and a lot of lawyers are citing, a lot of keyboard lawyers like myself. Well, I'm not really citing that, but you get the gist of it. This is a risk to Trump because the Supreme Court can rule that he engaged in an insurrection. Therefore, he is barred from the election. They could easily do that. I don't see that happening, but that is a possibility. Let's see here. Michigan lawsuit was filed in September by Free Speech for the People, a pro-democracy advocacy group that also persuaded an unsuccessful 14th Amendment challenge against Trump in Minnesota and has filed the case in Oregon. The court's decision is disappointing, but will continue at a later stage to seek to uphold this critical Constitution provision designed to protect our republic. Lawyer Mark Burrow, who joined the group in the lawsuit, said in a statement, Trump led a rebellion and insurrection against the Constitution when he tried to overturn the 2020 presidential election, and he is disqualified from ever seeking or holding public office again. Keep in mind that he has not been charged, he has not been found guilty of rebellion or insurrection or inciting a riot. I mean, the House impeached him over it, and the Senate found him not guilty, because that requires 2/3 of the votes in Congress, and they didn't have the votes. Yeah, sure, it was a majority, but didn't meet the threshold of a conviction. Michigan lower court dismissed the case on procedure grounds early in the process, and the decision upheld on appeal, meaning the question of whether Trump engaged in insurrection was never addressed. Justice Elizabeth Welch, one of the 4 Democratic-nominated justices on the 7th member panel, acknowledged that Colorado's decision, but said that the state's election law differs from Michigan in a material way in requiring candidates to be qualified to run. The appellants have identified no analogous provision in the Michigan election law that requires someone seeking the office of President of the United States to attest to their legal qualification to hold the office, Welch wrote. The 77-year-old Trump, I'm saying that again, the 77-year-old Trump. Now, I like Trump. I'm not a supporter of Trump, but I do like a lot of his policies. But the man is 77 years old. I mean, outside of Vivek Ramaswamy, he's our best shot. And I don't even trust Vivek. I don't really trust Trump because he's a politician, and I don't trust politicians. But the 77-year-old Trump is scheduled to go on trial in Washington in March on charges of conspiring to overturn the results of the 2020 election won by Democrat Joe Biden. He faces similar election-related charges in Georgia and has been indicted in Florida for alleged mishandling of top-secret documents after leaving the Oval Office. So is Joe Biden, when he leaves, is he going to be finally charged for top-secret documents when he was VP or when he was a senator? See, that's my issue here is only person that's being charged with mishandling of top-secret documents is President Donald Trump. He's the only one. I mean, they investigated Joe Biden and they found evidence that he, as a senator, held on to documents when he left office. No charges. I mean, I know that they're trying to impeach him in the House, but I don't know if the House is really going to impeach him because I think they're playing politics. I know that they're trying to get to the truth, but I think they're actually playing politics with it and try to pressure him to drop out of the race. I think that's what they're going for. Same thing that they did with Hillary Clinton. They ruined, well, I was going to say ruin her good name, but she doesn't have a good name to start with. Her record is there. Nobody really liked Clinton. I don't know. That's just how I feel. Now, like I said, I'm not against presidents being held accountable. I wish I could believe that this was the start to hold all of our presidents accountable. I just think that let's hypothetically say that Trump loses his cases, he gets sent to prison. That's where it's going to end. They're not going to go after Joe Biden. They're not going to go after the Obamas. They're not going to go after the Clintons. They're not going to go after Bushes. And any other new president, they're not going to go after. Unless Vivek Ramaswamy wins. Then they're definitely going to go after him because he's not going to be part of the cabal there. He's not going to play ball with the people in Washington, D.C. That's my only issue with only going after Trump. Now, if they start going after other politicians in both parties and actually put them behind bars for their crimes, then I'll be all for it. But I think this is just a way to get Trump out of the race. That's just my personal opinion. I know a lot of people share that opinion. There's a lot of people on the Democrat side that share that opinion. They may not say it, but they kind of agree with that opinion. I know it's kind of conspiratorial. But why, after 3 years, they're pressing charges? He's been out of office for over 3 years, and they're just now prosecuting him. The timing is off for me, and all these court cases are going to be during the election year that he has to be president for. So he's busy in the courtroom where he can't go on campaign, can't have his mass crowds speaking to the crowds. And they're trying to, I'm not going to say interfere with the election, but they're interfering with the election by preventing him from focusing on the campaign trail. That being said, that is my video for today. Have yourself a wonderful day, morning, or evening.